Merry Christmas and welcome to Baking with the Charleses, where we'll be walking through with you what we do every Christmas when we bake our favorite black cake. Hi, so we are right now preparing our black cake. We mixed the fruit last night. It was done in the food processor. So we have here our currants, raisins, mixed peel, pitted prunes, cherries, and mixed fruit. And we let them sit overnight. Well, they were just there overnight, and now this morning we have added our Guinness. You can see our Guinness in the background. We added our port wine. We added our port wine. We also added some rum, a bit of rum. And that's about all the alcohol we do. We don't do a lot of alcohol. But yeah, we've added enough. And now we're cooking the fruit. It's been cooking for a while. So after it is finished cooking, once we get to that stage in the cake mixing journey, when it needs to be added, we'll add it. But right now, if you can see next to the fruit being cooked, we have, so this is going quite well. It will be finished quite soon. I'll show you the finished product as soon as everything is put together. Okay, so here we have our batter, which is basically our sugar and margarine creamed together. And we added our eggs as well. So since I'm doing the proportions for 4 cakes, I am doing 16 eggs. Normally I do these proportions for 4 cakes, but I normally get them about 5 cakes. So yeah, we would have added 16 eggs to the butter and sugar mixture, and at the right time we're going to add the fruit. But we have to add some flour first, so I'll add half the flour and I'll show you after I've done that what it looks like. Then we'll add our bicarbonate of soda, the rest of the flour, and our fruit goes in last. And after we've added the fruit, then we add our browning, because that darkens the cake and makes it even blacker. Okay, I'm getting ready to put in my flour. I would have added 10 ounces already. And this is my second 10 ounce because we're doing 4 cakes, remember, so we're going to need to do that 4 times. So I'm doing half, so I'm putting 2 sets. And that is being mixed by Gabriel.
Everything is being mixed by Gabriel.
He is mixing it in. And after, we're going to add our baking soda dissolved in hot water. And when I do the second set of flour, I am going to add to that flour the spices and the baking powder, etc. Right? So I'll add all for the full 4 cakes. I'll add all of that to the second set of flour. But that will go in after I've done the baking soda dissolved in hot water. Okay, so I have my flour with some spice in there, and I'm adding some additional flour with the baking powder and the cinnamon. That's going to be sifted into the mixture. So we're adding all of our dry ingredients: flour, cinnamon, spice, baking powder. That is going to be mixed right in, well in, first with the spoon and afterwards with the hand mixer to make sure that everything is mixed in well. And after that is all blended well so we can see no more flour, then we'll begin to add our fruit in batches, in spoonsful, because there's a lot of fruit to add. So we're going to add that, and then our browning is going to be the very last thing we add, or our coloring, as we say sometimes, to give it that really dark color. Being mixed well in, and hardly see any flour. Some of it is still there, but that's going to be blended well in, so that the mixture is perfect then for the fruit to be added. And when we add that fruit, we're going to add a little touch of wine as well, and yeah, to give it that added flavor, that added kick that we know is needed to preserve the fruit, the alcohol. Okay, we're now adding the fruit mixture to the batter mixture. Remember, the batter mixture has the flour and everything in it already, the spices, the baking powder, And we are adding our cooked fruit mixture. See how much we have, because as I said, we are doing 4 cakes, which is quite a bit. And usually when I'm through, I ended up getting out about 5 cakes with these ingredients that I used. Okay, so now we are mixing in the fruit into the batter, and as you notice, with all that batter there and the fruit goes in, it kind of disappears, but it's going to turn brownish as it gets mixed in more and more. Our fruit mixture does not have coloring in it. It is just the pure fruit and the alcohol, the added alcohol, the Guinness, the rum, the wine. And when that is thoroughly mixed in, the mixture will be a light brown, and that is why we need to add our browning to make it darker, because we know it's called black cake, dark cake, and if we left it like this, it would just be a nice brown when it is out of the oven, but we like to see it rich and dark, rich and black, or close to black. So that's why we add the browning, and obviously the more browning you add, the darker the cake becomes. It's hot because of the fruit. The fruit has just been cooked. So, you know, many people do their black cake the traditional way in terms of putting the fruit up for months. Some people do it for an entire year. As soon as Christmas is past, they put up their fruit for their next cake. Some people do it mid-year. Some people might do it for 3 or 4 months before Christmas. I have always done it this way. I learned this from my mom. And only yesterday on a TV program where a chef, a well-known chef in Barbados, was talking, he said, you really don't need to put up the fruit. The same thing will happen when you cook it. The same thing that happens over the months when you put it up is the same thing that occurs when it is cooked. So that's what I learned from my mom, and I've kept that tradition in my own family where we don't put up the fruit, we just cook it usually the same day that we're going to bake, or sometimes we do it the night before. This time we just did it this morning while the mixture was being done. The fruit was also being cooked, so it's nice and hot. Yeah, so I'm now going to be adding my browning to the mix, and that is going to make it a lot darker than it currently is. As you see, I'm pouring liberally because we love to have our cake fairly dark. We love our cake to be black. So we are going to add liberal amounts of browning or coloring to this mixture. And it's not going to look as dark as it will end up looking after it is baked. So even though we've added this, it's still going to look a lot lighter than it will come out when it's actually baked, because the baking process darkens it as well, colors it deeper. So even though we're going to put in this mixture, it's still going to be a dark brown. It's going to be darker than it is right now. It's going to be a dark brown, and then when it is baked, the heat and that whole baking process will darken it some more, and it will come out really dark when it is finished. So you see we're doing a nice mixture with the spoon, and then we're going to use the hand mixer to really ensure that everything is blended well in after we mix with the spoon. Okay, so these are the final stages of our cake making. We are mixing everything in with the mixer just to make sure that we get everything captured and well, you know, mixed, blended. Yeah, so we're going in with the mixer now. As you can see, it's fairly dark because we would have added our browning, and that has set. What you're seeing there, that's the light coming through the window. Yeah, but it's fairly dark, so my husband is going to mix it in now. We also have our pans ready. As you can see, the baking pans are lined and greased. What we do, we grease them first, then we line them with wax paper, and then we grease them again because we want to make sure that this rich, thick mixture does not stick to the pan and spoil the cake. You know, you don't want a crusty cake. You want your cake to be soft around all the edges. So it is greased and waxed. We're still going to dust a light amount of flour into it before we put the cake inside the pan. And then when the cake is in the pan, we are going to cover it with foil before we put it in the oven. All right, so it is baked, covered, and not uncovered. That helps it to, as my mother would say, stew nicely in its heat so that you don't get anything burning. So this is the consistency of our cake, which it normally is, very softish, so that when it's finished, it's going to be really moist. It's not going to be too soft, it's going to be firm yet moist, so that you can cut it with a fork as you eat it. That's how we normally do ours. Not bready, but moist to eat with a fork, but yet good enough to cut. And this will be in the oven for perhaps close to 3 hours. 2.5 to 3 hours, so that it's well done when it's finished. So this is how it looks as it sits in the pan. As you can see, the lined pan with the greaseproof paper. Then we're going to cover it with water. Okay, so this is the finished product about 2.5 to 3 hours later. They were covered with foil, and now we have our completed cakes. As you see, they're now very firm, nothing like the very soft mixture that we put into the pan. Yep, all finished. And as we said, we have 5 actually came out there. They're different sizes, but we have 5 panned cakes. Lovely.